Streaming live. The leader in Internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101 with host Susan Bartelstone. We're so happy you've joined us this weekend. Over the next hour, you'll learn the tips, tricks, and vital information that'll help you keep yourself confident and safe. Now, here's the host of Crime Prevention 101, Susan Bartelstone.
Hello, and welcome to Crime Prevention 101. This is the personal safety radio show with an optimistic perspective on a sober subject, and I sure hope that you had a safe week since we were together last. And I also want to wish everybody a really happy Valentine's Day because, yes, indeed, it is the big V Day. And you know what happens today, right? Most of our thoughts are going to turn to love or perhaps the search for love. So I decided that the topic for today's show is how to search for love safely, particularly online, and also how to stay safe in your relationships. And an extra special treat today for this Valentine's show, we're coming to you live. Now, most of my faithful listeners by this time know that I usually pre-record this show. Basically, it's a timing issue for me, but a couple of weeks ago, I did have my first live show, and it was such a great experience, and I really got to talk to some of the people that were listening and take the call. And so I decided, since it's a holiday, since it's a special day, I thought I would do it live again today. And I also have a really special guest for you today to help me out on the show. And she is online dating and relationship expert Stephany Alexander. And she's also considered an authority on abuse prevention and women's issues. So we're going to be talking about how to avoid these online dating nightmares and how to prevent relationship horror stories. And I'm going to invite everyone to call, anyone who wants to talk with me or with Stephany to call in and tell your stories. That call-in number again is 866-472-5788. And now I want to introduce Stephany to you. Stephany is the founder and CEO of womansavers.com. And if you haven't been to this website, you're going to want to do this immediately after this show is over. This is one of the most popular websites on the net for women. It's in the top 1%. She is also the founder of Abuse Prevention Foundation, which is a profitable charitable foundation for women, children, and animals. She also founded the very popular Abused Women's Forum. She is the author of the best-selling book, Sex, Lies, and the Internet, an online dating survival guide. She's won all sorts of awards. She's appeared all over. She was on an E! Entertainment show that I actually saw, caught her on that one. She's been on Fox, Mike and Juliet, Playboy Radio, just hundreds of these things. Stephany, welcome to Crime Prevention 101.
Thank you, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone.
Indeed. Stephany, before we start, I've got so many questions. I just have to bring this article. I found this in honor of Valentine's Day. This is kind of a love gone wrong thing. And I'm based out in New York, and this is making local news. Maybe some people have heard of this outside of my area, but I just had to mention this. There was a story in the news about a surgeon. He lives out on Long Island, and he had donated a kidney to his wife back in 2001. Well, they are now in the process of getting a divorce, and he wants the kidney back. It's part of the settlement,
That's the
right?
craziest story I've heard in a while. And isn't there some kind of law against taking organs back once you give them?
Honestly, I have no idea, but he said if he doesn't
there's
get...
not, there should be.
There should be, but he said if he doesn't get the kidney, he wants $1.5 million instead. So that is certainly an interesting wrinkle in the love story. I think we're going to hear more about this, I got a feeling. But
what a great guy he is.
Yeah. Sounds like a beaut, right?
It sounds like she's justified to get the divorce.
Well, she claims she's got reasons. She said she said there was abuse. There's all sorts of things, and of course he denies it. So who knows, really? But well, anyway, let's talk about, in honor of Valentine's Day, let's talk about dating. Let's start with internet dating. tell me, has Internet dating made it easier to find Mr. Right for people out there that are using it?
Yes, it has. It puts you out to millions of people that you wouldn't have met otherwise. It allows you to cross borders inexpensively and literally from the comfort of your own home and very quickly. There are lots of different dating websites out there. There's free sites, there's pay sites, there's hobby and interest-oriented sites, there's nationality dating sites. I mean, you name it, it's out there. So with that, you are also exposing yourself to a lot of dangerous people. There are even con artists that do nothing but lurk in religious online dating sites because they know they're going to find more trusting people there. So it is up to you to screen your dates. And there are many tools out there right now, such as womansavers.com for the ladies out there, where you can do a free international character check on the person to see if they have a history of bad relationships. If you do find something, then you can follow that up with a background check. And then, of course, if you are a single mother, mandatory is a sexual predator search.
Oh, indeed. Oh, the good stuff. Now, I want to talk a little more about that, but tell me, what are the biggest mistakes that women make in online dating?
I think it's moving too fast and being too trusting. Early on in my dating experiences online, I took a lot of risks that, looking back, was not smart on my part. The goal is to find out as much information about the other person while giving out as little about yourself early on. You have no idea who is on the other side. They may sound perfect. They may come on strong. It may just seem wonderful. But until you actually know what a person's past is like, you don't know anything about them.
And people lie.
People lie about everything. Or what they do is they tend to stretch the truth. They over-exaggerate things. So you need to pay very close attention to red flags. For example, if somebody says they're a doctor or a lawyer or a professional, and in their profile they have grammatical errors or lots of misspellings, and you ask them a question in their field and they can't answer it, that could be red flag, and there's so many of those nuances. If your gut tells you that something isn't right, then either dig deeper or just delete and move on to the next.
And that is extremely good advice. I mean, we oftentimes, because it looks like it's Prince Charming, and we ignore all those signals that we're getting. I know that I've done it myself. Now, your website has caused quite a controversy. Why is this? And tell me about why you created Women Savers and how did it happen to come about, and why is it so controversial? Because this is one of the tools that women want if they're really looking into online dating.
Yes, I created it because this is a tool I wanted. I wished I would have had this tool. Before I got involved with a lot of the people, I come from a long history of abuse. I was sexually abused as a child. In college, I went through date rape. As a young adult, I experienced emotional, physical, verbal, and emotional abuse, and I even had to file a restraining order against somebody who threatened to kill me with a gun and threatened to kill himself. I mean, it was just a nutcase. And after that, I had a series of bad online dating experiences. So I was not in a good place in my life. My self-esteem was very low, and I took this negative energy that I had, and I used it to create. And almost like lightning, I had an idea, and I thought, what is it that makes women strong? And it is our ability to communicate. We tend to be communicators, and even if it's talking about men, oh, so and so, and what do you think about this? And we're always forever asking opinions and advice about situations. So I wanted to create an open forum where women could discuss men and help each other and warn each other and heal and do everything in one spot.
And people can actually go, if they meet someone online, they can actually go to womansavers.com and they can plug in the name of the person and see if someone has written something about this person.
That's right. You can search your entire state if you want to, and all the different cities come up, and then the people are listed alphabetically. You just have to make sure that you agree to our terms, and part of those terms are that you are telling the truth, because the truth is 100% defense to libel. So, and your opinion is covered under freedom of speech. So,
I was actually just going to ask, is this website legal? Because I have read this, been on this website. I've got it up now while we're talking, actually. And people say some pretty interesting things on this website.
They do. There are other websites out there that are similar, but they're a little bit more gossip-oriented because Woman Savers requires you to agree to a processing fee. So if you want to edit or delete your post, it's $25 to delete and $10 to edit. So that helps a little bit as far as getting a higher quality of post and not having it be 100% gossipy. But basically, it's women telling their story. It's about 80% negative responses, 20% positive, and women just write about everything. But, yeah, it's very legal, and it's covered under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which basically states a third-party provider can't be held liable for what somebody else writes. We aren't authoring the information. We're not it's not our copyright. All Woman Savers does is organize it. And
okay.
Without this act, no blog, no website, no nothing could really exist, because then the owners would always be liable for what everybody is posting on their blog. And sometimes there's millions of posts, and who is to determine what is truth and what is not, and who knows who is posting anonymously from a cyber cafe pretending to be somebody else with using an anonymous proxy and a fake email address. I mean, I wish you could hook up everybody to a lie detector test, but it's not possible. So we do the best we can.
Interesting. But how many men do you think are in this database?
Over 30,000, I think. Anywhere right now, probably close to 35,000.
And what kind of men are they?
There are convicted felons in there, men who cheat, men who knowingly...
Something you'd want to know, yes.
Men who, huh?
I said that's something you'd want to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of those. I'll tell you about some statistics about that after. There are pedophiles, there are bigamists, there are liars, cheaters, abusers, you name it. There are also women who post their men in there and say what a great guy he is. But he's taken in his mind, ladies, so stay away.
I'm going to ask you to hold that thought. We're coming up to our first break. So everybody just stay tuned. We're going to be back very shortly.
News, opinion, your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today.
Hi, my name is Aaron, and I'm a survivor of mannequinism. Mannequinism is basically when you turn into a hard plastic shell. They say it's from not being politically active. For me, it started when I didn't register to vote. And then I stopped volunteering, and before I knew it, I wasn't doing anything. And that's when I found a small patch of plastic on my right shoulder.
Protect yourself from mannequinism. Log on to fightmannequinism.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The
Interstate Sportsman Talk radio show brings two well-known outdoorsmen to the Voice America Network with hunting and fishing info news, talking about everything from new sporting gear, places to hunt and fish, and getting more from your recreation time. Join hosts Brock Ray and Don Kirk Friday mornings at 6 a.m. Pacific Time, 9 Eastern, for the Interstate Sportsman on the Voice America channel.
Streaming live, the leader in Internet talk radio, voiceamerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back. I'm here talking with online dating and relationship expert Stephany Alexander, and we are live today, so if you do want to call in and share your story, that number is 866-472-5788. And I just want to say, as I do on every show, to those of you out there who are already a survivor of maybe a dating horror story or relationship problems or any kind of crime or violence at all, please, please, please understand that nothing that happened to you was your fault. Even if you think that you used bad judgment in a situation and left yourself vulnerable, that is never, ever an excuse for a crime or for violence. And it is so truly important to call yourself a survivor and not a victim, and to understand that with proper professional help, you can put what happened to you into perspective and you can get on with your life. Now, I understand that we do have our first caller with us on the line today.
Yes.
Dr. Marilyn Joyce.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome to Crime Prevention 101. And Dr. Joyce, I received an email from you. This is such, I've heard these stories before, but it always just tears me up when I hear them again. Give us a kind of a thumbnail sketch of what happened to you, and Stephany and I are going to give you some tips and maybe some advice.
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. Basically what happened was I went out to a store to buy some things I needed for my new home, and at that store there was a gentleman that showed attention, attention to the product because I was wearing a shirt that had a product that I promote. He showed attention to that, or seemingly. Asked me for my card for my business. I never thought twice about it. I always hand out my card. Not now, but I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
Which, by the way, if you're doing business, that is something that you would do.
Yes. Didn't even think about it. Yeah. And then, but when I asked him for his information, it was illegible, and that should have been a red flag right away, but I just assumed he wasn't really interested. Then I got a call, an email, I should say. And from there, it was about the product initially. Before I knew it, he had, we were emailing back and forth. He invited me out on a date. After 3 days with this man, I knew there was something not right about him. I couldn't figure it out. But before anything else, before I knew it, I was meeting people in town who were saying, "Oh, I heard you were engaged to this guy. I heard you were getting married." And it's like, what? And then
Stephany, isn't that's one for the books, right?
Yeah, it was like, what is this about? And then the next thing I knew, I was getting mail in his name to my address. And later on, I found out that what he was doing was making it look like he lived there, and he was basically planning on moving in. At least that's what the police assumed from it. But it just got to be a terrible nightmare. And then he wrote me a check. He did some computer business for me. I wrote him a check, and the next thing I knew, my signature was everywhere. And, opening up bank accounts and so on that I wasn't doing online. And then money was usurped right out of my account by transferring it from my account into another so-called account that was, the signature was my signature, but it was him doing it because he was forging my signature on everything. This moved in from a dating horror story to identity theft. Yeah. And forgery, and there are certain points, and I've actually gone through your email, and I've got a very detailed response to you that I'm going to send to you afterwards.
some questions about it. And Stephany, she emailed me that he had her email box was full with 3,000 emails in 1 month from him.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yes.
He also
voicemail was full all the time.
And he maxed out your voicemail, which he uses to do business with, just callers and hang-ups.
Well, that's harassment and stalking too.
Yeah, it's stalking. It's identity theft. It's like the full gamut of a real.
And how many dates had you gone on with this add-on with this person?
3 dates.
3. Oh
3.
my gosh!
And then before I knew it, the whole world was telling me I was marrying this guy and that I was engaged to him. And oh my gosh, it was.
Did he go to jail? How did this end up?
Well, the big thing was that it just kept getting worse and worse, so I started not opening emails because he had a system where he could tell if I did, and that was the recommendation from the police, don't open any more of them. And they were threatening in the subject line if I didn't respond to them. And basically, I got an alarm system put on my house or got it fixed. It was broken. Got that happening and never went to bed at night without putting that alarm system on. Usually I had it on all day if I was home.
And I wanted to ask you a question. Does that alarm system also include a security camera?
No, that was the one thing I never did that I know I probably should have done.
Yeah, that you should do immediately now. That's one of the things that I was going to talk to you about. You got to have, first of all, in your email to me, you never mentioned whether you filed an order of protection against this fellow or sought any kind of help from a stalking advocate or counselor.
I did not, and that was. I mean, I did go on to blogs and online to look for people who could give me answers and solutions and ideas, but I did not. That was one of the things I know I should have done.
Yeah, restraining orders are not that tough to get. I've gotten one before.
They're fairly easy to get, but here's what I'm going to talk to you about. Particularly wanted to make sure I mentioned to you. There was a lull, and he started again. Correct?
Yes, and now, yes, he did. There was about a year or more of a lull, and then all of a sudden I started getting emails requesting my help in reviewing his new book. Because I'm,
this guy's
I write
unbelievable.
books, so it's like you're the professional, and so I had one of my assistants write back to him and say, Marilyn doesn't work with, books that are fiction. She only works. So why would you think that she could do anything with this book? And we haven't heard from him since.
Oh my God, this just gets worse and worse and worse. And see, what bothers me is that he started up again, and he also there was some evidence that he had actually broken into the house, which is something I want to touch on.
Yes.
And that he actually, Stephany, he came to the house with the police. And he told them that she was his wife, and she refused to let him in and change the locks on the door.
Yes,
I
couldn't believe it when I went to the door.
And he was never arrested?
She didn't do a couple of things that we're going to talk to her about doing now. All right, this is the very, very, very first thing that I want you to do. I want you to see if you can find a family justice center in your area, and you can either find it through the district attorney's office, or you can go to familyjusticecenter.org, which gives you a listing of all the different states where they've got family justice centers. And family justice centers are kind of a one-stop shopping for domestic violence, for stalking, and they have police, they have the district attorney's office, they have counseling, they have advocates, and all in the same place. If you don't have a family justice center, find either a women's organization. Many times within the district attorney's office, they will have a stalking unit, because you need to immediately file an order of protection against this guy. Mm-hmm. But I want you to know the merits and the limitations of it, because there are some really great merits, and then there's some serious limitations. One being that it can make the stalker's behavior increase, get him madder, and so forth. So you want to each case is different, and you want to make sure that you know all the information about what it does, what it can do, and so forth. So that's number one. you got to talk to somebody. And I think in this case, it sounds like a good bet for it. But, again, the laws of your state are different, and the only way you can violate an order of protection is, the only way they can enforce it is when it's violated, which is like after the fact. So that is such a happy thought. But sometimes it's a deterrent. Other times it gets them madder. So by discussing the ins and outs of his behavior and what he's done, you'll get a good handle on whether you want to do it. I'm making a prediction here that they're going to recommend it. That's number one. Number two, you want you to upgrade that security system. You got to have a camera in there, because if he did break in as you think he did, and you changed all your passcodes, right?
Yes.
Because he had access to them.
Yes, that's right.
Susan, do you know of some affordable websites that sell camera security systems?
I actually do, and there's a great friend of mine. Her name is Cheryl Watterson. She's got a security911.com blog site. She's got tons of information on it. She actually did a show. If you go back to some of my earlier shows, it was like the third or the fourth show. We talked about all sorts of security devices for the home. So I would tell you, go, and all my past shows are archived right there on my host page on voiceamerica.com. So, and if you can't find it, let me know. I will announce it on air next show, and I'll also email anyone who's got a problem on that.
And there's also nothing like saving an animal's life and going and getting yourself a German Shepherd or a Doberman.
Yeah, and that's not. Don't laugh now, because that is a very good option. But
I know it is. I have both.
Yeah, it's got to be a dog that is a big guard dog. Mm-hmm. Don't get a little family pet, because all they'll do is give you advance warning if someone's broken in. I also want you to look into getting pepper spray. I'm not sure where you are, but it's legal in all states. I think you need something, and for indoors, I want you to have pepper foam. In case he does break in, pepper foam won't fog up the environment. You'll be able to spray him and get out of there. And I've got some tips on my website, deersafetysolutions.com, exactly how to use pepper spray and pepper foam. I want you to know what it will do, what it can't do, and how best to use it. I have it on
my car, next to my bed, everywhere.
Yeah. And we're coming up on our second break, so everybody, you stay tuned. We're going to be back. Stephany Alexander, Dr. Marilyn Joyce, and I, we're coming right back.
News, opinion,
Can you hear me?
Your voice counts. Call toll-free 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787. VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today.
What's it like?
What's it like?
It's lonely.
It's really lonely.
I miss my brother.
I miss my brother.
I'm surrounded by other people, but it's not the same.
I've got other people around me, but it's not the same.
It's pretty scary, but I don't let it rattle me.
It's pretty scary around here, but I don't let it rattle me.
You always have to watch your back.
There's no one to watch my back.
I spend my whole day worried who's out to get me.
I'm always wondering who's out to get me.
But I can take care of myself.
But I can take care of myself.
No matter what, I'll keep my head up.
No matter what, I'll keep my head up.
It's not like I have a choice.
It's not like I have a choice.
This'll all be over in 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days.
This'll all be over in 5 years, 3 months, and 17 days.
Go to jail for a gun crime and your family serves a sentence with you. Something to think about before committing a gun crime. Gun crimes hit home. This message brought to you by Project Safe Neighborhoods and the Ad Council.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back. And I'm here talking with online dating and relationship expert Stephany Alexander, and my caller, Dr. Marilyn Joyce, who's had a very bad stalking incident. Now, a couple of more tips I have for you, Dr. Joyce. First of all, I want you to look into something called GrandCentral.com. This is one of the best telephone screening programs out there. They don't have it in every area code, but you need a really good kind of firewall. It acts as a firewall and will prevent those hang-ups and clogging up the mailbox. It also gives you an exact printout of who called, and it won't let anyone through unless they announce their name. So they can't just call and hang up.
What is that called? GrandCentral.com?
GrandCentral.com. It's an excellent service and does many, many other things. And also, as I remember, and I wanted it because I can't get it in my area code, but it can also might be also able to help with the email situation, because you got to do business and you can't have your phone clogged up and you can't be afraid to answer the phone, and you're gonna need some kind of barrier between you and this fellow. If GrandCentral.com can't help you, talk to your service provider, because there are a number of ways you can screen phone calls, that they can't just come right through and get to your answering machine. And if worse comes to worse and you can't find anything, I've got another tip for you. I'm going to be posting some stalking tips on the website. And I'm also, by the way, going to be posting them on womansavers.com, because I'm going to be doing a forum there. Stephany has asked me to do it, and I'm just absolutely thrilled. We're going to talk more about that in a few minutes. I got a few more suggestions for you. I want you to look out now, in terms of the identity theft, that is a huge problem. I want you to check into something called LifeLock, and it's LIFELOCK.com, and I also did a show with them. Look back on my host page, you'll see that show, or Identity Guard. You've got to get hooked up with there, so this guy cannot co-opt your identity, open up all these things that he did, and who knows what he can do in the future. You're also going to have to get your computer thoroughly debugged, because he unfortunately did work on the computer and he installed spyware on there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I went in and got that all done, because that was one of my biggest fears when somebody explained to me what spyware was, because I couldn't figure out how he knew everything I was doing.
That's right, and he can get all your passcodes and everything else from there.
It was a nightmare. I had to first of all clean out my computer, and then I had to change every passcode.
And you're going to change your passcodes and all your email addresses and all those things, anything that you need a passcode on, right?
Yes.
All right. Have you ever heard of LifeLock? I actually belong to it. And
I can't tell you how grateful I am for these tips, because I've never heard of any of these things.
All right, good. I'm going to send them all to you in an email, and I want to thank you so very much for calling and sharing your story. It really it's very courageous of you, and I truly thank you. And if anything occurs to you in the future, just email me and let me know.
Thank you so much.
Yes, good luck to you, and move forward in filing that restraining order.
Yes, I will. Yeah. I will move forward on that.
Yeah. Let me know what happens on that too. I want to stay in touch with you. Okay. Let's see if I can help you through some of this.
Thank
you.
All
right, Stephany, we've got another caller. Is Jeff still there?
I'm still here.
All right, Jeff. Hello. Welcome.
Hello there. How's Susan?
Hi. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm the owner of SafeCheckIn.com, and this is right up their alley as far as women's safety and protecting yourself and making sure that there's a guardian angel watching over you when you're going out alone.
That's right. Now, I just heard about this. Tell me a little bit about, Stephany, have you heard about this?
No, but it sounds like a similar service that I'm just teaming up with right now. Why don't you explain what it is exactly?
Well, what Safe Check-In is the opportunity for a member to go in, give us basic information about themselves, their physical information, the height, the weight, the vehicle they drive, that type of thing, the activities and things that they do. And then when they want to go out alone, say they're going to go out shopping or going out for a run or going out for a hike, that type of thing, they check out and they give us basic information like what vehicle they're taking, what they're wearing, where they're going, where they're going to be taking off, when they plan on coming back, and that type of thing. And so they check out, and in the meantime, while as a member, they've given us 3 emergency contact information of people that in case something goes wrong, in other words, they could become overdue and don't check in time, we contact those people and bring them up to date as far as what the member's status is, and then we decide what our next step is going to be, whether that's contacting the authorities or allowing their contacts to go out and start looking for them, or, in other words, they make the decision and we just follow it.
Are you in the United States or international?
We're just in the United States and Canada.
What a great service.
Isn't that amazing? I thought that was fantastic.
How can I get the service on my site?
Definitely. Somebody's always there waiting for you and knows, and as long as you let them know, you've got someone waiting for you to come home. I think that's fantastic. Give me the website again.
SafeCheckIn.com.
I'm sorry, say it again.
SafeCheckIn.com.
SafeCheckIn.com. Excellent. And I guess there is some kind of a fee for this, right?
There is a fee. There's a membership fee because it is monitored by human beings. This is not automated. So people are watching and making sure that the members don't go overdue, and if they do, we have a certain procedure to make sure that we don't have false alarms and that we don't get everybody all excited for things that, really aren't going on, because some people do forget to check in and things like that. But at the same time, we also, rigorously maintain the privacy of of the member as far as what they're doing. So nobody really has to know what they're doing, where they're going, or anything else, unless they go overdue, and that's the time you want other people to know.
And what is the fee for this?
Right now, it's $8.99 a month, or $21.99 for 3 months, or $75 a year.
And do you actually pick up the phone and call up the person to check on them, or not?
Well, let's say that you've gone overdue for 5 minutes beyond when you were supposed to check back in again. And, of course, by the way, there is a little bit of leeway. You can say that, do you want us to have an immediate, do you want us to take immediate action, or do you want 2 hours or 4 hour or 6 hour leeway, so to speak. But now that you're overdue, we're going to try to get in touch with you 3 times. 5 minutes after you're overdue, we're going to try to text or call you on your cell phone. We're going to try to make another contact with you 15 minutes after that, and another contact with you 15 minutes after that. If we can't get in touch with you, or we have not heard from you by text, email, or by phone, then we will start calling your first emergency contact on our list, and you give us 3. And we also have some women that have used us for domestic abuse issues and stalking issues, and so we've added an extra feature there. That means that if the member does not want to have us call the contacts, they want us to call the local police immediately, we will also do that.
How would
Very
you know
interesting that it's funny that you're on this show, because I'm in the process of partnering with a company called Safely Back, which does exactly the same thing that your company is offering, but they do it for women on dates.
Well, that's one of the many things that we do. Is women are using us for first dates. In fact, we do that probably every day. There's a woman going on a first date that's using our service. But it's much more widespread than that. You can use it for domestic abuse issues. You can use it for outdoors people that are going in the backcountry. Parents can be using it for their college-age students, so the kids can go out and do whatever they want to privately, but if something goes wrong, the parents are the first ones to get informed, that type of thing. So this is
how would this work for domestic abuse? I didn't quite...
Well, in the profile that the member has, they can put information in there like saying, I have a restraining order on such and such an individual, or I have stalker issues and things like that. It's things that we have in the profile that gives us a much better idea of why they're using the service. And at that point, then they have a choice. Do they want us to call one of their first three emergency contacts, or do they want us to call the authorities first? Because this is the primary reason why they use Safe Check-In.
Oh, I see. So if they've listed if you don't hear by such and such, call the authorities, that's what will take you there.
Exactly.
Great.
And we can email or fax all the information about the member and the event, which we call an event, which is, when you check out and you create an event and you check back in and close the event. When we can send all that information to anybody by email or fax that we've got permission to, which would be the emergency contacts and the authorities.
All right. Well, this sounds fantastic. Jeff, thank you so much. It's safecheckin.com.
Jeff, I'm going to be contacting you.
And
I would look forward to that, and I sure appreciate this opportunity to talk to you about it.
Thank you so much. We've got one more quick caller coming on. Ron Knight, are you on there with us?
Yes, Susan. How are you?
Hi, Ron.
How you doing?
We're coming up to break. I know Ron. I've talked to Ron before. Ron, talk about My Mobile Witness, which is kind of also on something you can use on a dating situation. We've got 2 minutes till break, Ron. Let's get this in.
All right, My Mobile Witness is a system. It's a download to a phone. It's free, and you register your phone number on a smartphone. And what it does is it enables you to send pictures, text to a secure server that's only accessible by law enforcement. There's no social aspect to it. You don't send it to acquaintances or anything else. And it's more of a deterrent than anything else. So if you wanted to take a picture, say, of a license plate or a person in a bar that you met, there's a way to send it to the server, and if there's no problem with the relationship or nothing develops, it just dumps in 6 months off the server. But again, the important part of this is it has a deterrent value. It's kind of an archive for you, for your state of mind, in case you have to ever have a conversation that might say, hey,
listen,
use
an example of how a person could use it.
What about that stalking situation? We had a caller with a stalking situation. If she was to photograph on her phone every time that he appeared before her, broke his order of protection or whatever, wouldn't that be an appropriate way to use it? It would send it to this center that law enforcement could access, right?
Well, it would be good in the sense that she could document the behavior, but let me make it clear to you and your listeners, this is not a substitute for 911, that if she felt she were in any kind of physical danger, don't use My Mobile Witness. Use the first responder system. My Mobile Witness is really for, again, deterrent. It's not to document a crime in progress, and if your caller felt threatened at all, I would recommend she not use our service, that she go with the traditional 911.
Right, but if she just wanted to document that she sees him lurking about, all right, we're coming up on break.
Then it would be appropriate.
Thank you so much.
It would be date and time stamped, and she'd be able to at least direct the police to the server. Remember, she can't get at it. So even if he were to grab her phone, it's already there. I mean, the picture's already gone, and that's why I stress deterrence. She could say, hey, listen, your picture's in the server. The police have an open case, and they're the ones that can get at it. But I don't want there to be any confusion. It's not a fire extinguisher,
Ron,
it's all the fire department.
Hang on. We'll come right back with you. We're about to take our last break. Stay tuned.
Talk, talk, talk. That's all we do is talk. If you'd like to talk, call us toll-free right now at 1-866-472-5787. 1-866-472-5787.
That's it.
VoiceAmerica.com. After more than 17 years' experience teaching safety skills to thousands of women and men, crime prevention and personal safety expert Susan Bartelstone concluded that by thinking and responding quickly, ideally within 20 seconds, potentially violent criminal encounters can be prevented. Using techniques from many different disciplines and illustrated by 60 real-life examples and success stories, Susan shows how it's done in her new book, Think Fast and Prevent a Violent Crime: How to Respond to Danger in 20 Seconds or Less. Check out www.fightsafe.com for more information. You'll also find information there on Susan's upcoming Crime Prevention 101 personal safety teleseminars. Think fast, talk fast, fight smart, which stress the many opportunities you have to deter or defuse a criminal encounter and how to use your brains instead of your muscles in a fight. Look for the new book information or sign up for Susan Bartelstone's personal safety seminars at www.fightsafe.com today.
Hey, Dad.
What?
I can't get the ketchup bottle open.
Here, let me try. Here you go.
Thanks.
You don't have to be a hero to be a hero. When you adopt a child from foster care, just being there makes all the difference. To learn more, call 1-888-200-4005. A public service announcement brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Stimulating talk gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 Internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You're listening to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone. We invite you to share your stories, tips, or suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, and Susan will address some of these on future shows. Send your story or idea to solutions@fightsafe.com. That email address again is solutions@fightsafe.com. Now back to Crime Prevention 101 with Susan Bartelstone.
Welcome back. I'm here talking with dating and online dating relationship expert Stephany Alexander, and we're also talking with Ron Knight from mymobilewitness.com. I want to make sure we get that website out there for you. This is again, Ron. It's not a substitute for 911. If you feel threatened in a situation, right, a dating situation, a camping, whatever it is, you got to call 911. But if you want to try and use this as a deterrent, or I could see with the stalking, if someone is lurking around and they're not supposed to be, and you're documenting that person is violating an order of protection, I see that My Mobile Witness could be a very important piece in the case if you can decide to prosecute that person.
Yeah, and the one thing I didn't mention is it's free. If you go to the website, it'll talk you through and put the application on your phone, and it doesn't cost a dime. And again, if it's anything, it's a deterrent measure that people kind of figure out how to use. We hear different applications all the time, and this is just one of them: personal security.
Excellent. So it's mymobilewitness.com.
Yep.
Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks, Susan. Good talking to you again.
All right. Well, Stephany, we're coming into the final lap, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about your book yet, which is Sex, Lies, and the Internet. Can you talk a little bit about the book? And
of course, Sex, Lies, and the Internet is an online dating survival guide that shows women how to screen their dates so they can date safer. It gives them all sorts of tips, how they can conduct and research a person, everything from background checks to Googling a person's name and finding out everything they can about that person to make sure that they are making the best decision possible.
And people can go to womensavers.com, which is Stephany's website, right? And
yes, it is an e-book right now, and it will be available in hard copy later this year.
And by the way, I've been going on the website quite a bit, and there are all sorts of articles here. You've got abusive husbands, find safe love, how to get dates, how to get a date. I mean, Stephany, you do a lot of help for women who have been in abusive situations. You want to talk a little bit about some of that for us while we
Sure. Well, I wanted to create a space where women could not only prevent abuse but heal from abuse. So we have a volunteer physician who gives free medical advice, and we had Sandra Brown, who is a psychotherapist and best-selling author who specializes in dangerous men. So she was volunteering and giving free advice. And then you've got thousands of women worldwide who also have experienced abuse. So I noticed that a lot of women in abusive situations don't have any money, and they don't feel comfortable sometimes talking about their abusive situations with their friend or their family. And so they need a place to go 24/7 where they can anonymously post their problem to professionals and non-professionals alike, and to shed light on their situation to hopefully get them out of it.
Absolutely. And it's so important to be heard. And I'm so proud that I'm going to have an association with WomanSavers.com. I'm just really, really thrilled about it.
We are too.
Before we wrap up, there's a couple of more tips that I want to give about a stalking situation. And I didn't have time to talk to Dr. Joyce about it, but I'm going to make sure she gets this information. First and foremost, really, really important, have no contact with the stalker. The stalker feeds on your attention, and it doesn't matter if it's good attention or bad or negative attention. So you just don't want to give them what they want. Only the police should confront or contact the stalker on your behalf. Do not send a large male relative over there or friend.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but that's just...
People do, but you know what? That
I know.
can cause a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Also, document every contact that you have with that person, every call, every letter that the stalker sends you, and certainly any face-to-face contact. And Dr. Joyce had talked about this person breaking into her home. That's pretty typical. You're going to have to tell your family, your friends, your neighbors, your landlord, apartment complex superintendent, whatever it is. And if you can take a camera picture, get that picture out to them, because a lot of times these guys pretend to be the repairman or something in order to get to you. Well, we're coming down to the end of the show. I can't believe it went so quick. Stephany Alexander, thank you so much for coming on with me. I want to do this again with you. You were just great. WomanSavers.com, everybody, and look for me there too. So please, we'll be touching base with you again very shortly. Stephany,
thank you so much
sure.
for having me, and can't wait to see what you have to offer on the column.
Absolutely. All right, some of the websites we talked about, FamilyJusticeCenter.org, really great website for you. For crime victims seeking assistance, if you want to pursue a justice settlement and you don't have the money, which Stephany was mentioning, the National Crime Victims Bar Association has a wing that they can help you out, and it's N like Nancy, C Charlie, V Victor, CCharlie.org. All right. Don't forget, you can hear all the past episodes of Crime Prevention 101 on my host page on the VoiceAmerica.com website. Go back and hear some of the stalking shows. Go back and listen to the Todd Davis show about identity theft. Really important in terms of what we're talking about today. I've got information for all my shows posted on my personal website, DearSafetySolutions.com, and I'm going to post a link to Stephany's website and to her book on my website as well. And while you're at that website, I've got all sorts of safety tips on there. Go to the safety tips section of the website because you're going to see some good stuff there. I've got some stalking tips that are going up there, and I'll get that up. And some of the resources that I tell people about in terms of stalking, I'm going to put that up there on the website as well. If you've got a safety concern or a comment or something you'd like me to talk about, solutions at fightsafe.com. Just email me, and I will be happy to talk to you either personally, or put you on the air, or email you privately if you'd rather not. And next week, we're going live again. We're doing an encore of the Rape Declaration Forum. and co-hosting with me again, Rebecca Miles and Jay Grace. And if you missed that show, oh, my God, that was an amazing show. So you know what? It'd be a crime not to listen to that show. So stay tuned and stay safe.
We hope you got some useful information and inspiration this week on Crime Prevention 101. Susan Bartelstone invites you to join us again next Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on Voice America. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend.
News, opinion,